Yo guys, Phase Shifter here and welcome to another video. Well folks, it looks like Patch Mania continues in the Souls-like world with Remnant 2 dropping a major patch that has been strived for and wanted by the community for a very long time. This patch appears to be the developer's own spin on a Halloween event, much like we've seen in the Lords of the Fallen. This has also been coupled with some major quality of life improvements, including one that I am incredibly excited about, and I know the community around the game is too. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, they've named this patch Major Quality of Life Improvements Update, and it says, our new major update brings improvements and a special event. So let's start with the special event, folks. The Aberration Domination event. Embrace the eerie atmosphere as the veil between realms grows thin, granting the root an opportunity to unleash a horde of menacing aberrations across all worlds. From October the 27th, so that's today, folks, Friday, to October the 31st, gear up and face this haunting challenge head on. Defeat these sinister foes and collect the elusive corrupted shards, a rare material with untold potential. Head over to the enigmatic Dwell in Ward 13, where you can trade these corrupted shards to craft corrupted versions of some special weapons. Show the root that even in the darkest of times, our resolve shines brighter than ever. That sounds absolutely awesome and really exciting. It sounds like it's giving us a reason to go out into the world again and grind areas, find those aberrations, and get some unique and exclusive loot. That's a great idea. I love that. Up next, we've got performance and crashes. General optimizations to improve performance in many areas of the game. Address performance issues with Annihilation boss fight. My favorite. Address performance with the Bloat King boss fight. Address performance issues with the Mother Mind boss fight. Fixed an issue where some players would get stuck on initial splash screen. Fixed an issue where using the Soulbinder mod during the second phase of Shahala fight could cause a crash. Fixed an issue where the game could potentially crash when starting a new game with no internet connection. And fixed an issue where Cancer's tentacle attack would cause too many vines to appear and affect performance. I can remember Cancer. The fight was absolutely horrific when the game first came out. I'm pretty sure that didn't work at all. And the other ones were definitely needed. I didn't notice it myself, but I did have friends who used to really struggle with that Annihilation boss fight. So that is a welcome change. And next up, we have quality of life, the centerpiece of the patch. And this is exciting. Improved evade detection as client in multiplayer games. That's a great change. Dev note, we made some changes that should be noticeable in terms of increasing the responsiveness of evading while in co-op as a client. Definitely needed. Updated the multiplayer join process to make an overall smoother experience. Thank you. That was an absolute disaster. Dev note, clients will now join at or near the host location instead of automatically starting in spectator mode unless the host is in a boss fight or event region. And here it is, folks, what we've all been waiting for. I can't believe we've had to wait this long, but this is absolutely fantastic. They have finally added loadouts to the game, which is going to make life so much easier. The dev note says, players can now create a gear preset and then recall it with a single button press. This includes weapons, mods, mutators, archetypes, skills, relics, fragments, etc. Loadouts will also save and recall traits, but will only recall them if you have the Orb of Undoing in your inventory. Loadouts cannot be used in combat. Great news. That has been something the community have been crying out for, and it's ridiculous that it didn't come with the game, but we've got it now, folks. Sound off in the comments below. Have you tried it out yet? Is it working well? That's such a great bit of news, and is going to really help support not only people that play the game for fun, but also content creators like myself are going to have a much easier time now of bringing build guides to you folks for this game. Brilliant news. Added loads of new aberrations. We've added lots of brand new aberrations. These will have the potential to spawn in all play modes and difficulties. That's great because they were very rare, and I'm assuming this is all to fall in line with the event. So the dev note says, lots of new and challenging affixes for the new and existing aberrations. Nice. So they're adding some more content and challenge to the game, which is a brilliant sign. They've added new mutators. So there's a few fun new mutators to test out. Find the right one for your build. So they're giving us some stuff to experiment with. This is getting me really excited. I'm looking forward to jumping back in the game. Excellent news. Added a new currency for acquiring aberrations. The new currency is to gain access to something new. Perhaps Dwell might be interested in this new currency. So I believe that is relating to the event that we spoke about at the start of the patch. So at this point, folks, what do you think so far? Sound off in the comments below. This is something that we've been looking forward to for a very long time, and it did feel like it probably wasn't going to arrive. Is it too little too late? Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think, especially if you're a returning player. Speaking of returning, I also just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody that has returned to watch my patch videos for Lords of the Fallen and this video included. I also want to thank everyone that supported the channel over the last month. We hit 750 subscribers yesterday, and I would absolutely love it if we could break 800 by the end of the weekend. So please do smash that like button, subscribe, send this to your friends. Whatever you can do to help the channel grow is much appreciated. Next up, progression balance. So here are the general notes. In this patch, we wanted to clean up armor and damage reduction. There was a large discrepancy between different armors when considering armor granted versus weight. Some armors would grant incredible armor per weight point, while others would fall behind greatly. Our goal was to smooth this out. We did this by creating a curve where light armor has the most efficient ratio of armor granted per weight cost, and the heaviest armor was the least efficient but still grants a lot more than light armor. There are a few variances, but lighter armor sets and individual pieces will have a higher armor to weight ratio than heavy armor. Okay, so I'm reading that as they're trying to just make you not play cookie cutter armor setups. That's the cynic in me saying they just aren't happy with people leaning into Litos and things like that. It's called Litos, isn't it? It's like, you're not playing all our armors and we want you to, so we're going to change it up. Which, again, that's cynical, but it's not a bad thing necessarily. Variety is good, folks. With this change, we also moved some armor weight values around to make sure we could maintain a proper ratio across the board. Because of this, some armors gained weight, like Challenger's armor, for example, but to compensate, we've made adjustments to strong back, which you can read about in the trait section. In addition, we fixed the stamina cost penalty for each armor weight class, so they represent a better trade-off between damage reduction, weight, and stamina costs. What this means is the heaviest armor will have a stronger stamina cost for stamina-based actions. Light armor and medium armor will maintain their +2 and +1 iframe buffs. So basically, if you're wearing heavier amounts of armor, your stamina is going to drain quicker. So they're going to try and deter you from just stacking out heavy armor. That's how I've read that. Maybe I'm wrong. Sound off in the comments below. With these armor changes, we've also made a bunch of adjustments to utility and survivability items. They're all buffs, apparently. So the players who want to wear the armor that grant less survivability than Litos 1 and 2 have more survivability options via trinkets and more reasons to use many of the other utility items as well. That on paper sounds fantastic, because one thing that I've always said about Remnant 2, and it was kind of like this in Remnant 1 as well, to be honest, there's just a lot of fluff in there that you don't necessarily... You can't use it because it's not viable. Like there's a lot of variety compared to most games, but there's a lot of stuff in this game that you just look at and go, well, why would I use that when I can use that? So I think that's a great change. Ultimately, the goal is to make sure there are real investments required to go full damage reduction. I have absolutely no problem with players hitting the DR cap and being extremely tanky, but because it was so easy before, many of the survivability items were often relegated to your bags. It also meant that many of the armors were tossed aside to go MK2 above all else. So this is like what I was saying before. They've kind of gone, oh, do you know what? You don't use all the stuff that we want you to use, so we're going to change the design of the game to make you do that. Moving on, this video is going on quite a bit, so I'm going to whiz through these next sections, and I will put the notes to the patch down in the description below. But we have a description here of the armor, so the adjusted armor weight ratios and weight class stamina penalties. I will focus on this bit Traits change the behavior of strong back from granting reduced encumbrance to increased weight class threshold. So the dev note says, better fitting with the moniker strong back, players spec'd into the trait will be able to wear heavier armor, fit into a lighter weight class, while maintaining their actual weight. The trait value has changed from -10 encumbrance to +15 weight class threshold. This means that players wearing a 65 weight armor will still be in the medium weight threshold, since it increased the baseline 50 by 15. This should open up design space a bit more for things like Haymaker's Ring and Weightless Weight, which are based on total weight amounts. That's a nice change. I like that. That's good thinking from the devs there. Nice. Good. And then I'm not going to go through all these, folks, but I can summarize it for you. These are survivability items, and the vast majority, if not all of them, are buffs. I will put the notes in the description so you can take a look. And then we move on to some weapon changes. Rune Pistol mod, Soul Brand, converted to aura instead of a single burst AoE. The effect now travels with the player while active, so they may mark enemies they come into contact with. That sounds a little bit like one of the skills in Remnant 1 that I can't remember the name of. And Challenger, Rampage, reduced the Rampage damage requirement to trigger Berserk from 400 per stack to 135 per stack. Increased movement and reload speed while active. That's a massive buff, if I'm reading that correctly. That's ridiculous, actually. I've already got some ideas in my head of how that could be manipulated and used. That's excellent. Juggernaut added reduced melee stamina cost while active, so another buff there. And then we have the usual bug fixes. I am not going to go through all these, folks, because this video's gone on long enough. So there you have it, folks. A summary of the quality of life update in Remnant 2, featuring a great edition of the loadouts and also an event for us to get our teeth stuck into over the weekend and beyond. Are you going to play the event? I'm a little bit caught up with Lords of the Fallen at the moment, but this does look really appetizing. This patch has been really desired for a long time, and I just feel that the devs have maybe been a bit slow off the mark here, and I do get that there's a lot of stuff that goes on in game development, but when you look at a team like Hexworks and the way they've been working with Lords of the Fallen and the speed in which they've been bringing out patches and responding to feedback, you can't help but wonder, folks. So with that in mind, thank you very much for watching, folks. Smash that like button, subscribe, send to your friends, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.